Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Marie Bodine, an inner peace coach, level 2 certified Wim Hof Method instructor, Spartan athlete, and creator of the Inner Peace Portal. She guides stressed out individuals toward incredible focus, unshakable inner peace, and deep self-love through breath practices, cold therapies, and mindset training. Her high energy workshops equip participants with lifelong skills for confidence and resilience amid chaos. With that being said, Marie, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Milan, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. I was very much looking forward to the conversation, so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right into this. What I love to do with every single one of my guests is a bit of traveling back in time. Meaning, before you even had your practice, your company, what were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting the business?
That's a really great question. And I think way back in the beginning, I had a long history of being in the fitness industry. So it started with a lot of things that might have been obvious to a lot of people. People would come because of the reasons that we all go to the gym. I mean, everyone's got reasons. And I think I started to see over time gaps in the outcomes that people were going for. When I started to switch into cold water, then cognitive mindset training, I started to create a system that was a lot more cohesive because I saw that people would come for one thing, but still feel like they were missing pieces. I was kind of confused because you would think that going to a certain place, doing a certain thing, knowing that that's the outcome that you want would get you that outcome. And people were still unhappy. People were still having major blocks to their success and things. I think a lot of what people think they want isn't what they really want. That's what I started to see. And I saw it over and over and over again. People working really hard and not feeling any more successful or happier in their lives. And I thought, wow, that's kind of odd. And I'm seeing it in different groups. I'm seeing it in similar groups. I'm seeing it across the board. And I just thought there's got to be something through my observations that I can create to fill in the gaps. And I did. And then it really started to change people's outcomes pretty quickly.
I love this. As you were talking about this, I felt like you're basically describing human beings in general, because I feel like this is not only relevant to what we're trying to reach by going to the gym and having those goals in mind, but pretty much in every single aspect of our lives. So I completely get your drift. Now, when it comes to this, I'm pretty sure that you stepping into the position of like a business owner, entrepreneur, there must have been a lot of adjusting along the way and pivoting all the time. So we're gonna get some clarity on what the business really looks like today. In this part of the podcast, my goal is very simple. Get the audience very clear on, first of all, who is it exactly that you're trying to help right now? And also, what are the core offerings that you have in place for your clients? So go ahead and tell us all about it.
Thanks for asking. It's changed quite a bit over time. What I thought was very simple things that people could just complete, especially when it comes to mindset training and blending physical training with cognitive training. There's not a lot of choices that I have seen that have created fast, successful aspects. So I think when somebody comes to me and we talk about, most of the time I see people at workshops, so that's usually how I serve people at this point. And I think I'm going to ask you to ask me the question again, because there's a lot of places that I want to go, and I think I want to be a little bit more focused with
Absolutely.
the answer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So first of all, let's clarify who is exactly that ICP that you have in mind or the avatar that you created for the ideal person that you want to work with. And once we establish that, let's talk about what are the different ways that people can actually end up working with you, like one-on-one coaching, group coaching, workshops, like you said yourself, whatever that might be.
Yeah, so I answered that question a little bit backwards, but that's fine. So extremely high stressed individuals, super focused people that are often more focused on processes as opposed to emotions, people that haven't been able to acknowledge that they can use their body first to create a state change and then use a process to get the outcome that they want. I see that all the time. I often see people using mechanisms as opposed to integrating fully these processes with their mind and body to get the results they want. It's not talked about very often. And so, usually, with a workshop, a talk, a presentation, often something in person, I'm able to show people that all the skills that they're already using are super great. We don't need to add more skills. I think what we'll want to do is help people understand that they might be overusing some of the very powerful skills that they already have, or they're not using them in the best ways that they could because they think that using another skill isn't going to get them to where they want to go. And that's absolutely not the case. And I can show them how to do that.
Beautiful. And you just now mentioned that often this happens in person. So I'm curious, what would you say is the ratio of your work being done in person versus virtually?
The initial contacts with people are very, very powerful when we have in-person connections because they're able to, and let's just use an example of an ice bath. We can't talk about an ice bath and how it works in the same way that when someone actually gets into an ice bath and feels the ice bath. And so when we talk about what that feels like, then we can start helping people understand, well, this is the process that creates the cognitive outcome for a very intense board meeting, or this is the process that can help you not make um, a business decision out of fear or lack. So there's a carry through that I think people don't put together. Like, how can an ice bath actually make me a better, business owner, founder, entrepreneur? They don't initially see it that way. So usually when we can give them processes that connect those dots, they're like, oh, I get it now. I like, my body is a tool that I can use with my mind to create a really great outcome that has less um, negative downsides, and that is a longer conversation for most people because, again, we all see novelty out there and we all see like hacks and quick fixes and all these things, and that's one group of people that I don't serve as well. I really think that the people that I serve the best are the people that understand that success is a long game.
I love it. Now, when it comes to actually making it happen with all of these workshops that you provide, are you typically running them on Zoom or do you travel to meet a group of people and do it at their location? How does this really work?
Right. So we don't do full body ice baths on Zoom because of safety issues. So I have traveled globally to do longer workshops or corporate meetings that involve extremity training. And especially with the military teams, we can go on site and support them as well. I find that the people that I meet that have very good skills are surprised when they find out that they actually can't do the things that I ask them to do that are very simple because it just uses a different part of their brain that they haven't been using. And the brain is very fascinating. If we don't train all the parts don't work. And I think most people don't know how they're using their brain in certain ways and what parts they're like. We don't learn these things in school. So if I told you that the stressed part of your brain is working most of the time based on some of the behavior that I see, it's a learning curve, really, because that's not a common conversation. So it takes a little bit of time to explain that. But I think once people understand that cold water can produce all those other outcomes and we can use different parts of the brain to get certain outcomes that benefit us long term, then we can start to really understand this isn't just about cold, and it's not just about breathing, and it's not just about thinking positively. We can create deep, deep states on demand on demand that most people have no clue that they can create because they just don't have anyone that can explain that to them. And I think there's so much power in this kind of knowledge because again, like we talked about, the hacks are great, but I consider those things a great entry point. But it ends up being cotton candy for a lot of people. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that cotton candy doesn't really pay the bills.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this though. Like I was literally thinking about the fact, and especially in today's day and age, I'm quite often getting into a conversation about this, but the world that we live in, there is a very low barrier for anybody becoming a consultant, a coach, somebody on an influence on social media. So anybody could be talking about this. But I feel like a big, big piece of your work is the educational part of this, right? Like making sure that people actually do realize how this is possible and that this is possible in the first place. So I love what we're getting into now, but also Marie, if you're open to it, we're going to talk about the back end side of the business now, because at the end of the day, you know what Founders Future is, right? If it is regarding marketing, sales, operations, strategy, we want to talk about it. That's a good business talk. So in order to have a good client acquisition system in place, right? There is a lot of stuff that you need to do, whether that's on the side of marketing, whether that's doing public speaking. There must be a way for you to get in front of the right people and have the ability to onboard them as your new clients so that business grows, right? So I'm curious, what is it that is happening on the front of marketing and maybe specifically generating those contacts and leads for yourself so that you can make this growth happen?
Great question. So a lot of this started by word of mouth, and when people were talking about how I was easily able to solve some stress problems or blocks to some of their systems, even with teams, it started to grow pretty quickly because people talk, and people talk when they have problems. And I think when they have people that they can have a solution with that is not normally used. Um, then the word starts to spread. And I think when we understand that some of our magical gifts are not what we expect. We don't always expect some of the ways that we create connection to be the most obvious things. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people that think funnels have to be running 24/7, or that you've got to market with all these advertisements. And honestly, the missing piece that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge is that your energy is powerful. It counts, it matters. And when you make an impact on someone because you're giving your energy because you believe in something that you're doing, the word spreads pretty quickly. So we've been able to create quite a stir and get some really beautiful events going and be able to spread the word through those live experiences. It's very, people are not getting out and meeting each other in person, and I think it's a huge untapped market.
So far it has really been based on like word of mouth, getting referrals,
Right?
basically letting your work speak for you, but also doing these live events. So when you talk about social media, though, honestly, yes, there's a lot of people who feel like the only way that this could work is really creating the best kind of funnels that you could possibly have, running ads. So I would assume this is something that you haven't even tried yet. But what I'm curious about is, how much of a part does social media really play when it comes to this business of yours? Do you like try to leverage it on like content creation and staying engaged with your audience, or how does that really work for you?
Yeah, and this is important. I think the strategy that's given me the most powerful notoriety and reputation that I can really feel good about is when I'm showing the outcomes that other people are experiencing. So in my industry, you'll probably see a lot of people or instructors that are facilitating or marketing very similar vehicles, cold water breathing. There's a lot of that going on. But I think I was extremely specific in the beginning to not be filming myself constantly. I film participants, and my whole page is about other people having these experiences. It's extremely unusual to be able to have a whole media page full of other people. And people talk. Like, so when they see me filming other people, they're like, oh, your cueing's really great. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love how you explain that to somebody. So in a very non-direct way. People are understanding what I do, not by me telling them, but by me showing them what other people experience in real time. And then obviously when we recycle that through other platforms, they can see the cause of what I'm doing and the effect in one post. And it's been very I've had incredible feedback from people and my peers based on how I've set up that process. So, sure, it's unusual, but it actually is a differentiator, and I love that.
I would agree with this. I was just about to say though, but I want to use this situation and what we're talking about and do a little bit of a braining session right now. I'm just curious to get your perspective because obviously, whenever we talk about word of mouth referrals and building everything on the organic side of things, right? Now, this is great because you're keeping it authentic and there's a lot of other benefits that we're not going to get into, but people typically get very frustrated about the inconsistency of those sources, right? You can have a good month, then you can have a strain of bad months where nothing is coming through the front door. The business is stalling. So I'm curious, do you feel like you're not gonna get into a position where doing something like paid ads is going to be necessary for you to really take the business to the next level? Or what is your thought process on this?
That might be an option later, recorded series of or courses, that kind of thing. But honestly, right now, I am so confident in my skill set that that is something that is important, but not something I'm focusing on right now. I think a lot of people think, again, we're talking about these, what tool do I need to try and compensate from my lack of skills?
Mhm.
There's a lot of that going on right now. Like what do I need to buy? What are the optics? Like what kind of like vehicle is going to get the most eyes? I don't want the most eyes. I want the best eyes. I want the most uh, motivated eyes. I want the most aligned eyes. And that takes a little bit of time to cultivate. And to be honest, those months where things are lean doesn't change the overarching skill set that I have. And I think a lot of people would do best remembering that the one thing that's going to get you far are the systems that you've put in place for your own belief about what you're doing. Then, when you add the mechanical vehicles to create those funnels, you will have long-term success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Marie, let's also talk about something else, though, because recently delegation has been really becoming one of the biggest topics on the podcast. And I
Right.
definitely want to get your take on it. Because thinking about the future of the company, would you say that you're trying to create an ecosystem that would eventually support other people coming in, joining you, maybe taking off some responsibilities off of you, whether it's on the side of marketing, whether it's on the side of sales, possibly any other department? Or is the plan to basically keep it smaller, keep it more sustainable, and just run it as a one-woman show? What is the idea?
Great. Well, listen, keeping it small is great now. I'm in that phase of really going short and super, super deep. I think, again, that's what's really helping me connect to the people that I would want to connect to. And then we can grow it later when we feel like we have all the pieces in place where we're not building on sand. And I think that's important. I think creating a foundation with all the elements in place. I've seen a lot of people grow too fast. I've seen a lot of people grow too fast, and then there are huge cracks in the foundation. Then they can't scale with confidence, and that's a slippery slope. How do you even undo that? How do you even go back and fix that? So I think it's important to have these people in place when the time is right, so that when you scale, that you have a reduction of risk that will come back and really cause huge damage in the future.
True, absolutely true. I mean, scaling and growing a company is very attractive, but if you don't really set the right fundamentals, it's just going to come crashing down. So I would definitely agree with you. But when you talk about these people, what do you have in mind specifically? What do you think that you would really appreciate getting some help on in the future?
In the future, I would say marketing and then all those other little tasks with online support, just sending out blasts, sending out other products and newsletters for sure. I love doing that, but again, that's time consuming. So having help with that would definitely be an advantage because there's a lot of content going out right now, but I think quality content designed for specific concerns, people really do appreciate that. I've had feedback on some of the content that I've sent because it takes time, but it really does address specific things that people are looking for. I think there's a lot of general things out there, and I know I keep going back to that, but I think there's a lot of general content out there that is not really addressing specific things. And I think when people start really understanding that there are specific questions that people have and not dancing around the real thing that people want to talk about, then we really get movement, and that's what people pay for.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, obviously, we just discussed something that is going to be a part of your future and the future of your company. So
Right.
we're going to dive into the future plans a little bit deeper now. And more specifically, when you think about the short-term goals, maybe the next 6 to 12 months, what would you say that really is when it comes to your biggest targets, goals, revenue, milestones that you have set for yourself?
Aligning with more corporate teams is something that I have is right in my crosshairs for my goals for the next 6 to 12 months. And um, I think connecting with those people is something that I haven't spent enough time with in the past because I've had other focuses. So I think I'm really excited about that because teams, it's a lot different to be able to spend time with a team or to coach mentally a team as opposed to an individual person. It takes a different skill set. But even when I was working with groups of over 150 people for 4 or 5 hours, it gave me a peek into how stressful that can be. I've in a good way and in a not great way. I had a 13-hour no breaks day one time. I taught 2 workshops back to back. I don't
Oh,
recommend that to
wow.
anybody, but it helped me understand the amount of focus and the amount of skills that I had to be able to do that without skipping a beat. We can't do these things, every day or on the regular because it really then starts to detract from our love of why we're doing what we're doing. But it wasn't actually difficult to do. I love working with people. I love teaching. I love teaching. I love teaching groups. I love helping people find their true power. And I think groups are really where I want to be spending more time with people that have big, expensive problems and they're not quite sure how to solve it, or the mechanisms that they're using isn't quite getting them there. So I'm excited for that. And I think how I'm spending more time doing that is connecting on social media for sure, but also again, I'm finding people in person I do talks and they're just telling me that they're having these challenges and they really do have these questions that maybe they feel like they can't ask most people or can't search for online because it's just too specific.
Absolutely. Now, continuing growing the company and scaling further and having a bigger impact, whether that's on the side of individual or working with groups, generally speaking, what would you expect is really going to become the biggest challenge to make it happen?
Ooh. From where I am today, I imagine choosing the right team of people that are committed and have a healthy mindset. There's a lot of stressed people out there, and there's a lot of people that tend to overwork and to burn out. You know who they are. Maybe you work with some of them. And I think having a mindset that is super clear and super focused is it's rare. And I think the more people think that they have to create output as opposed to cultivate their own values and their own ethics, that's when we run into trouble with teams and staff. I hear it over and over again. Oh, this person embezzled all this money. Oh, this person had to take a medical leave. It's like we really want to get a great team right from the beginning so that we don't have these challenges later on. That's my main goal.
I love it. Beautiful. Marie, at this point, I'm going to say this has been an incredible conversation. I've really enjoyed my time here with you today. And so thank you very much for taking the time sharing this story with me, but also the entire audience. Now, if anybody from the listeners would like to get in touch with you, perhaps even work with you one day, what is the best way to go about it?
People can find me on LinkedIn and ask me all kinds of questions there, or you can visit innerpeaceportal.com and then send me a message. I would love to chat.
Beautiful. Thank you again. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency, and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.